this escalating conflict between Iran and Israel. So today, in this deep dive, our mission is really to cut through all the noise, get to the critical developments. We're talking nuclear crisis brinkmanship, frantic global interventions, and importantly, the raw human impact. And this analysis is based on a really detailed account of this crucial day, picking up right where the intensity of day 6 left off.
Exactly. And to really get a feel for just how fast things were escalating our source material, it drops us right into the middle of day 7. It takes you, minute by minute through these absolutely unprecedented 24 hours. It's a narrative where, honestly, every hour, sometimes every minute, seemed to shift the global balance. And it doesn't just show what happened, but you really feel the immense pressure, the desperate gambles, and, frankly, the terrifying global stakes involved.
It paints a stark picture, doesn't it?
Huh.
So day 7 kicks off with this headline that must have sent shivers through capitals everywhere. Nuclear protocol activated world on brink. Now, when we hear nuclear protocol activated, what does that actually mean? Is that like an international thing or something internal to Iran?
That's a really important distinction to make. The sources suggest this refers to Iran's own internal contingency protocol. It signifies they'd moved from just preparing to a state of immediate readiness for potential deployment. Or at least they wanted the world to think they were ready. We know that at 4:02 a.m., local time UTC +3, Israeli satellites picked up some unusual thermal signatures near Iraq, Iran's nuclear site. And crucially, these signatures pointed to activation, not, destruction or an attack. Then Western intelligence pretty quickly confirmed Iran had moved enriched uranium, moved it to a mobile facility near Shiraz, one capable of launch. That really pushed everyone right to the edge.
And it wasn't just satellites and intel whispers, right? There was this stark warning broadcast on Iranian national TV.
Yes.
If Tel Aviv falls, Riyadh and Dubai will follow.
Okay.
I mean, that sounds incredibly direct and explicit threat. How did that land? What did it signal about Iran's intentions at that moment?
Well, it wasn't just talk. It felt like a fundamental shift in the strategic game. It explicitly dragged other major regional powers, Saudi Arabia and the UAE, into the direct line of fire. It signaled Iran might be willing to escalate way beyond just Israel, beyond conventional stuff. It sort of implied a readiness to spark this catastrophic domino effect across the whole Middle East. It really confirmed just how unstable everything had become.
Okay, so you have this looming nuclear threat, this direct regional warning. What was Israel's immediate counter? Because around 5:00 a.m., we see this Operation Shadow Sky pop up. A very swift, but also pretty unconventional move. What was the goal there?
Yeah, Shadow Sky was an emergency cyber espionage mission, a real high-stakes gamble, you could say. The reports indicate Mossad's top digital unit, their elite guys, infiltrated Iranian defense servers. The aim was bold: disable their nuclear chain of command directly through cyber means.
And the sources, they indicated only partially succeeded. That phrase alone must have been terrifying news. I mean, partial success in that context. It confirms you're far from safe, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. In a crisis, moving this fast, partially succeeded, just leaves way too much room for disaster. It's almost worse than outright failure in some ways, the uncertainty it creates.
So while this digital battle is playing out, what's happening diplomatically? You can just picture the chaos, the pandemonium at that UN emergency summit in Geneva unfolding at the same time.
Total pandemonium is probably right. The U.S. Secretary of State was there laying down demands. Iran halts all enrichment. Israel cease its strikes. Standard diplomatic playbook, but under extreme pressure. Then Russia made a surprising move. They urged restraint from both sides, which sounds good, but simultaneously they started moving military assets towards the Caspian region. So mixed signals there. If you connect the dots, it really shows the desperation. Everyone's scrambling for any possible way to de-escalate, even if their actions seemed contradictory. It was driven by sheer fear.
And attempts at direct peace talks were failing, too. I read India, France, and Germany tried to send a delegation to Tehran.
They did, a last-ditch effort. But incredibly, their plane was turned back midair. Couldn't even get into Iranian airspace.
Wow. So diplomatic channels closing down.
And adding another layer, you had Turkey and Qatar starting these covert talks, trying to mediate with Hamas and Hezbollah. Their specific goal was to cool down proxy escalations. They were terrified of a complete regional meltdown involving all the non-state actors, too. It just shows how interconnected everything was and how many different players were frantically pulling levers, trying to stop the slide.
That fear, it wasn't just diplomatic anxiety. It became brutally real on the ground. At 1:30 p.m., bang. 6 hours of nonstop missile exchanges erupt. This is where it gets, the scale of it becomes terrifyingly clear. What were we seeing during that period?
It was intense. Iran launched Zulfiqar missiles. These are known for being pretty precise, harder to intercept, aimed at Ben Gurion Airport. It actually caused a temporary shutdown. And maybe even more worrying, they sent swarms of those Shahed 238 stealth drones, the Iranian kamikazes drones, hitting military depots down in southern Israel.
And Israel's response.
They hit back hard. Jericho the Third ballistic missiles targeted air bases in Kermanshah and Tabriz. Plus, a precision strike hit Iran's Navy base at Bandar Abbas, reportedly crippling 3 naval vessels.
And the human cost. Inevitably, it surged during this exchange.
Tragically, yes. Iran reported 129 dead, over 300 wounded. Israel reported 74 dead, and that included civilians near Ashkelon. And then you have the spillover. Indirect deaths reported in Lebanon and Syria from the ongoing Hezbollah-Israeli cross-border fighting, which was also escalating.
Yeah. It's easy to talk about missiles and bases, but those numbers. Each one is a life, a family shattered. And just when you think the day can't get any more tense, the stakes ratchet up again. The world's holding its breath, and then this rarely used direct line starts buzzing. 8:07 p.m. The red phone lights up between Washington and Tel Aviv.
That's right. A very significant moment. The U.S. president got on the line directly with the Israeli Prime Minister, Bengal, and the message was stark. No ambiguity. Quote, "If a nuclear weapon is used, we will intervene militarily. This is not just your war anymore."
Wow. Look at that explicit warning from the U.S. That's a profound shift, isn't it? It means the world isn't just watching anymore. America is explicitly saying, cross this line, and we're in. It changes everything.
It absolutely redefines the conflict. It takes it from a horrifying regional crisis to potentially a global one. It challenges the very idea of national sovereignty over military decisions when nuclear weapons are on the table. It signals that the true edge of annihilation isn't just about the bomb itself, but the chain reaction, the global response it could trigger. That red line wasn't just for Israel and Iran, it was for the whole world.
But beyond the leaders, the missiles, the diplomacy, what about the people just trying to live through this? What does this constant fear, this dread, mean for ordinary individuals caught in the middle?
Yeah, the source material brings that home, too, with some really powerful personal accounts. There's one image of a mother with her 2 kids in a bunker under Beersheba. She apparently whispered to someone recording, "I just want my children to grow up. I don't care who wins. I just want to survive." It raises that difficult question, doesn't it? How does history remember these moments? Not the politics, but the sheer human desperation.
And from the other side, too. A text message surfaced from a young Iranian medic, just 19 years old, in Esfahan, covered in ash, apparently. His message read, "I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid no one will tell the truth about it."
It's these voices, these incredibly intimate perspectives that really ground you. They remind you of the immense personal stakes behind every single geopolitical decision, every missile fired. It's the human cost that often gets lost in the grand strategy talk.
So day 7 is drawing to a close. Midnight is approaching. The tension must be almost physically painful at this point.
Right.
What was the final ominous development our sources picked up?
Yeah, the day ended on a deeply unsettling note. The final piece of intel reported was satellite imagery. It showed a convoy of Iranian trucks moving east, heavily guarded by missile-equipped drones. And Israeli analysts, according to the source, feared this might be it, the mobile nuclear platform, the one moved near Shiraz earlier, now possibly preparing for launch.
Leaving the entire world watching, just holding its breath, facing this terrifying question as day 7 ends. Will tomorrow bring diplomacy a step back? Or will it bring detonation?
And as you think about day 7, what really strikes you, I think, is not just the speed, the sheer velocity of the escalation. It's how easily a regional conflict, once it crosses certain thresholds, can just pull the entire world into its vortex. It forces this question of global responsibility when that edge of annihilation looms so large. The sources suggest this isn't just history. It's a stark warning about how quickly red lines can blur and how fragile peace really is.